Good morning. I'm Reverend Aaliyah Kemler, minister of First Parish Church of Groton, Massachusetts. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to the sanctuary. We are a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to this world. Unitarian Universalism is a faith for all. So whoever you are, whatever country you come from, whoever you love, whatever you've done, whatever your beliefs, abilities, challenges, or gifts, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Our congregation welcomes and includes a wide diversity of beliefs, so I invite you to freely translate the language you hear in today's service. Our spiritual community is vibrant and alive here in Groton, Massachusetts, and also with members and friends across the continent. And if you'd like more information about us, you just need to email welcome@uugroton.org, and we would be so glad to get you connected. We have learned through this just about 2 years of pandemic time that our sanctuary is not confined to this room or to any place at all. We create it together in so many ways, and we are doing that again now, though we hope to also be able to gather in person in our sanctuary again very soon. We will keep you posted. Today we will invite children of all ages to join religious education with Cynthia and Liz after the story, and we'll put the Zoom link in the chat and remind you when it is time, and you also have that link in your church-wide email. If you're able to support our community with a financial donation in any amount, we are so grateful. Just visit our website, www.uugroton.org, and click on the donate button. And also know that your membership in this community will never be measured by your ability to contribute financially. We do welcome you to contribute your time and talent as a welcomer, a chalice lighter, or a greeter. You can do this from home for the time being. And the link to the sign up for all of the things is in the chat. So many thanks today to Lisa Martino, a new member of our community who is playing and singing today. We are so grateful to you, Lisa. Thank you for being brave. Sean McCann, our Director of Music Ministries, is recovering from knee surgery, and Lee Kinvey, our intern minister, is guest preaching at the UU Church of Harvard this morning. But due to the wonders of technology, we heard Sean's beautiful piano during the prelude, and Lee will also sing to us later in the service. Huge thanks also to Melissa Wood, who is on tech here this morning in the sanctuary, along with Lorraine Scampini, who's greeting online, and Donna Nowak, who is our chalice lighter today. All are invited to coffee hour following the service on Zoom. And if you are local to Groton, I hope you will come on over to our first, hopefully, annual Love is for Everyone Valentine event. We had so much fun yesterday. It's 2 to 3:30 this afternoon at the church. Bring something for the Fitchburg Meal Program or Stone Soup Kitchen Ministries in Air. Come make a Valentine card for medical staff at local hospitals, and take away some sweet Valentines for yourself. We will be inside this afternoon, is my guess, due to the cold, snowy weather in sharp contrast to yesterday's spring. If you're here on Sunday morning, say hello in the chat. Let us know you're here so we can welcome you by name. But whenever and from wherever you are joining us, please come in, rest for a while, receive hope and strength, and know that you are so welcome here. Valerie Kaur, who is a social justice activist and a wise young teacher from the Sikh tradition, writes, "May we let joy in, for we will be someone's ancestors someday. And if we do this right, they will inherit not our fear, but our bravery, born of joy." So I call you into worship now. I invite you into this time of sanctuary we create across distance and screens. I ask you to remember that you are held in love, that you are seen and known as beloved by the love which holds and knows us all. And I invite you to breathe in joy and breathe out fear. As is our tradition, I will ring the meditation bowl 3 times. And this first breath and bell is for you. And this one is for all of the ones you love. And this one is for our beautiful world. So now we will sing together our opening hymn. Come sing a song with me. Lisa will lead us, and the words are very simple. I hope you will sing along, and after that, Donna Nowak will light the chalice.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that arose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that arose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that arose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that arose in the winter time.
Good morning. I've been thinking a lot about courage lately. Unless you've gone completely off grid, you can't escape hearing about the courageous acts of those for whom it is their job and those everyday people who, when faced with the unfathomable, rise up against fear to do what must be done. Last week, while walking a young girl across a crosswalk, a school crossing guard in Maryland spied a car speeding down the street towards them. Annette Goodyear shoved the girl out of the way as she herself was hit by the car. Laying on the ground, banged up but not seriously hurt, her first thought was if the girl was okay. Listening to that story, something from my own foreign language classes kicked in. Courage, from the French, means heart. Cor, from Latin, and yes, I still use my 2 years of high school Latin, also means heart. Big courage or small, it comes from the heart. If your heart is open, if your heart is receptive, courage is already there. Remember the cowardly lion who joined Dorothy on the journey to Oz? The trip was filled with danger, but he believed that only the wizard could give him the courage that he needed. Silly lion. After arriving at Oz, they discovered that the wizard was an imposter, just a regular man hiding behind a screen who was good at observing people's strengths, but really bad at navigating his own hot air balloon. Once the trickery was exposed, the wizard used his real gift of wisdom to tell the lion that the true courage is facing danger when you are afraid. And that kind of courage you have. The cowardly lion's big heart protected Dorothy on their perilous journey. Worrying about the safety of the young girl and not herself is a testament to the heart of the school crossing guard. There is no wizard. We don't need a wizard. There are fearful situations in our world, and some can seem overwhelming, but we can learn to stand up to them. So, start small. Be willing to enter into a conversation with someone that you've shied away from. Try taking small risks, like putting yourself in a group where you feel that you might not be appreciated. This is not high school anymore. There are no more cool kids. You have just as much value as everyone else. Begin by speaking up for someone who's being openly or passively mistreated. Be a role model for Unitarian Universalist values. As you practice, you will grow more self-reliant. Reach out, and this is important. Allow others to reach in. Being in community helps us to grow stronger together. We know that for certain, hard things will come our way, but including small acts of courage builds up our strength to handle the larger ones, which then leads to us helping others with their own fears. Courage, courage, core, it all comes from the heart. It all comes from love. As the young man from Liverpool once said, nothing you can make that can't be made. There's no one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. Da 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 da. All you need is love. Everybody. Da 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 da. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. I light this candle for the love in our hearts that sustains courage.
Thank you, Donna. That was so wonderful. Love is all you need. So let's sing together our response, Spirit of Life by Carolyn McDade. It is our tradition to sing it first in Spanish and then in English, and I invite you to sing along with Lisa. So good. So good. So I'd like to talk to the children for a bit. First, let's say our words for gathering. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands ready to help. So today's story is about being brave, and it is called Not Little by Maya Myers with pictures by Haewon Yum. I like it a lot, and I hope you will too. And especially if you are a person who has been told that you are too little, or too big, or too loud, or too quiet, or too anything, this story is for you. I am the smallest person in my family. Even my name is small. Dot. Do you see Dot? Everybody thinks I'm too little to do things. Everybody is wrong. I can do all kinds of things. I may be small, but I'm not little. I am the smallest person in my class, too. People look at me as if I'm in preschool. Then I tell them that the square root of 64 is 8, or that Jakarta is the capital of Indonesia, or that my favorite Mars rover is Curiosity. I'm not little. At the library, they ask if I'm sure I want to check out such hard books. At restaurants, they laugh when I order from the grown-up menu. And at the grocery store, they ask my mom, would your little girl like a sticker? I'm not little. Today there is a new boy in my class. His name is Sam. He is very small. He might even be smaller than I am. I keep trying to get next to him so I can measure. He doesn't say anything. I wonder if he's afraid of me. Do you see Sam? Sam is looking pretty shy. There's a big boy at recess who acts mean. I always stay far away from him. I see the big boy talking to Sam, and I have a feeling he's saying something not nice. I decide I will sit next to Sam at lunch to warn him about this big boy who acts mean, and also to see if maybe I am just a little bit taller than he is. In the cafeteria, I see the big boy coming right toward us. I freeze. The boy stops next to Sam. Ew, gross. What is that, little baby? He says it very quietly so no grown-ups can hear. Sam hunches forward, getting even smaller. I don't know what to do. Oh, I get it, says the big boy. That must be baby food. Sam slumps lower. I feel my heart beating very hard. I take a deep breath. Hey, I say, that's mean. The boy shoots his mean eyes at me. He snorts. What are you gonna do about it, little girl? Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I'm not little. The whole cafeteria goes quiet like I hit the mute button. The lunch lady's looking at me, the teacher's looking at me, the kids are looking at me, Sam is looking at me, and the big boy is looking at me. I don't move. Nobody moves. Then the teacher starts coming toward us, and all the kids start looking around and whispering, and the teacher looks at the big boy who is walking away very fast and looks at me. Why don't you sit down now, Dot? She says. I sit down. I put my lunchbox down hard on the table. My cheeks feel hot, and I blow hot breath out my nose. I'm not little, I say to no one. Dot? My name sounds even smaller, coming out of Sam's mouth. I turn and look at him. I think. He chews on his lip and pushes up his glasses. I think you're the biggest kid I ever met. Ha, I say, but Sam isn't laughing. Oh, I say. Huh, I say. Sam smiles. I smile back. And I stretch up a little straighter to see if my nose is maybe just a little bit higher than his. Yeah, you're taller than me. He shrugs. Everybody is. Who cares? I unstretch, so our noses are the same height. Well, maybe, I say, but just a little bit. And who cares? The end. That's a good one, huh? So now I would like to invite the children to join Cynthia and Liz for religious education on Zoom. And I'll give you the link in case it is not in the chat. The Zoom link is 9100-807-8563. 9100-807-8563. So if you are here on Sunday morning, this is the time in our service when we are invited to share our joys and our sorrows, our concerns and celebrations, whatever we carry today, whether it feels heavy or light. I hope you will share it with us in the chat, either on Zoom or YouTube, so that we can carry it with you, celebrate with you, pray with you. And I also invite you to tell us your gratitudes this morning or anything that is bringing you joy. If you're here at another time, I encourage you to speak these out loud or imagine holding them like pebbles in your hand and then letting them gently go. And so while you put your sorrows and concerns and celebrations and joys in the chat, we're going to listen to Lee Kinvey sing a little song called Be Like a Bird. It is a song about being brave.
Be like a bird who, halting in her flight, on a limb too slight, feels it give way beneath her, yet sings, sings, knowing she has wings, yet sings, sings, knowing she has wings. Be like a bird who, halting in her flight, on a limb too slight, feels it give way beneath her, yet sings, sings, knowing she has wings, yet sings, sings, knowing she has wings. Be like a bird, halting in her flight, on a limb too slight, feels it give way beneath her, yet sings, knowing she has wings, yet sings, knowing she has wings. Be like a bird, halting in her flight, on a flight too slight, feels it give way beneath her, yet sings, knowing she has wings, yet sings, knowing she has wings.
So the words to lead us into prayer are by Reverend M. Barclay from the beautiful website called Enfleshed. And Reverend Barclay writes, "Now is not a time for rushing past joy. Do not move too quickly through any good thing, not laughter, or a sight of beauty, not a taste of feeling, a companion or a truth. These are gifts not to be wasted. So be generous in sharing. Linger and give thanks. Be excessive in your awe. Just do not hurry through them as if they are not precious. in this season of grief. When you encounter the harder things, still move slow. Pause so that the voice of your body can speak. You cannot hurry in heartbreak or loss and hope to make it through. And all of this not only for the sake of your own endurance, but also for each other. When we tend inward, we prevent that which makes our spirit decay. When we nurture our soul, we grow in our capacity to give to the whole. Nothing much of value grows quickly, not courage or healing, not love that liberates or justice that transforms, not the new world we hope to grow from the ruins of all that has been lost. Everything we need the most for our collective soul to make it through this requires great urgency and abundant patience. Whenever possible, take a breath and find again the rhythms of life best for growing our souls. So let's take a breath. Let's remember again not to rush past either sorrow or the joy. Let's remember that courage and healing and justice and liberating love require both our urgent care and our abundant patience. And may we be gentle with ourselves and gentle with each other. We hold in prayer the joys and the sorrows, the longings and the hopes of this gathered community, those being shared in the chat this morning and these. We send prayers of love and comfort to Carol on the death of her beloved brother, Don. We pray for Donna B., who is grieving the death of her beloved child. We send prayers of healing and comfort to Wendy and her family. We pray for continued recovery for Sean, Jim, Trish, Katie, and a church family going through a time of great struggle. We hold in prayer Lee's friend Lisa, who is in the ICU in Worcester, and the loved ones, colleagues, and parishioners of Reverend Jean Pupke, who died this week after a fall. And let us also pause to linger for a moment in gratitude. For what do you give thanks today? Take a moment to call it to mind and to heart. And let's be in quiet together as we breathe and pray the prayers of our own hearts. And Lisa will close this time of meditation with the song, Comfort Me. If you are in need of comfort for any reason, this is especially for you.
comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to begin my message this morning by reading to you Amanda Gorman's recent essay called "Why I Almost Didn't Read My Poem at the Inauguration." Amanda Gorman was named the first ever National Poet Youth Laureate in 2017. And I think many of us have heard and read the beautiful poem she gave at President Biden's inauguration. She's 24 years old. I know some of you have read this essay. It was printed in the New York Times, among other places, and several of you sent me the link to it, wanting to make sure that I had seen it. It's worth hearing again. Her words are some of the most beautiful and powerful I think I have ever read on what it means to be joyfully brave. She writes, "The truth is I almost declined to be the inaugural poet. Why? I was terrified. I was scared of failing my people, my poetry, but I was also terrified on a physical level. COVID was still raging and my age group couldn't yet get vaccinated. And just a few weeks before domestic terrorists assaulted the US Capitol, the very steps where I would recite. I didn't know then that I'd become famous, but I did know at the inauguration I was going to become highly visible. which is a very dangerous thing to be in America, especially if you're Black, outspoken, and have no secret service. It didn't help that I was getting direct messages from friends telling me not so jokingly to buy a bulletproof vest. My mom had us crouch in our living room so that she could practice shielding my body from bullets. A loved one warned me to be ready to die if I went to the Capitol building, telling me it's just not worth it. I had insomnia and nightmares. I barely ate or drank for days. But I knew I could only answer the question for myself. Was this poem worth it? The night before I was to give the inaugural committee my final decision felt like the longest night of my life. My neighborhood was eerily quiet in that early morning dark, though I strained my ears for noise to distract me from the choice that lay ahead. It felt like my little world stood still. And then it struck me. Maybe being brave doesn't mean lessening my fear, but listening to it. I closed my eyes in bed and let myself utter all the leviathans that scared me, both monstrous and minuscule. And what stood out most of all was the worry that I'd spend the rest of my life wondering what this poem could have achieved. There was only one way to find out. By the time the sun rose, I knew one thing for sure. I was going to be the 2021 inaugural poet. I can't say I was completely confident in my choice, but I was completely committed to it. I am a firm believer that often terror is trying to tell us of a force far greater than despair. In this way, I look at fear not as cowardice, but as a call forward, a summons to fight for what we hold dear. And now more than ever, we have every right to be affected, afflicted, affronted. If you're alive, you're afraid. If you're not afraid, then you're not paying attention. Maybe the only thing we have to fear is having no fear, having no feeling on behalf of whom and what we've lost, whom and what we love. On the morning of Inauguration Day, I went through the motions of getting ready on autopilot, even as I anxiously practiced my poem. On the way to the Capitol building, I recited the mantra I say before any performance. I am the daughter of Black writers. We are descended from freedom fighters who broke their chains, and they changed the world. They call me. Though I spent the next hour shivering in my seat from nerves and the unforgiving January cold as I stepped up to the dais to recite, I felt warm, like the words waiting in my mouth were aflame. It seemed that the world stood still. I looked out and spoke to it. I haven't looked back. On that January 20th, what I found waiting beyond my fear was every person who searched beyond their own fears to find space for hope in their lives, who welcomed the impact of a poem into protest in hospitals and classrooms and conversations and living rooms and offices and art and all manner of moments. I may have worked on the words, but it was other people who put those words to work. What we've seen isn't just the power of a poem, it's the power of the people. And yet, while the inauguration might have seemed like a ray of light, this past year for many has felt like a return to the same old gloom. Our nation is still haunted by disease, inequality, and environmental crisis, but though our fears may be the same, we are not. If nothing else, this must be known. Even as we've grieved, we've grown. Even fatigued, we've found that this hill we climb is one we must mount together. We are battered but bolder, worn but wiser. I'm not telling you to not be tired or afraid. If anything, the very fact that we're weary means we are, by definition, changed. We are brave enough to listen to and learn from our fear. But this time will be different, because this time will be different. We already are. And yes, I'm still terrified every day. Yet fear can be love, trying its best in the dark. So do not fear your fear, own it, free it. This isn't a liberation that I or anyone can give you. It is a power you must look for, learn, love, lead, and locate for yourself. Well, like Donna, I think a lot these days about what it means to be brave. What does it mean for us to be brave at this moment in history? What does it mean for us to be brave in our own lives, in our relationships, in this small congregation, in the communities we live in? What does it mean to be brave in our country? What does it mean to be brave in our own hearts and minds and souls? And what does courage look like, sound like, feel like in ordinary lives? What are we afraid of? And if we were to feel our fear not as cowardice, but as a call forward, a summons to what we hold most dear, as Amanda Gorman so wisely tells us, what would we move toward? What do we hold most dear? What would we liberate our fear in service of? And how do we do that? I think that for many of us, it is our fear of failing that keeps us from moving forward. We get so afraid of others seeing us doing things badly, of being judged and found foolish or bumbling. Some of us are afraid of sounding or actually being less than fully informed. We are afraid of not knowing, of saying something offensive or stupid in our ignorance. We are afraid of hurting people without meaning to, because we didn't know better. It is so easy to let the fear of not doing something completely or perfectly, or even up to our own standards, get in the way of what we actually might be able to do if we just started. So we let fear make our dreams smaller, our hopes smaller, less audacious, less beautiful, and we call it being realistic. But maybe it would be more honest to call it being afraid. So many of us have internalized the belief that if something is worth doing, it's worth doing right. But maybe not. Maybe if something is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. It's worth doing imperfectly and partially, because that's the way we do something. We get part of the way there. A colleague of mine resolved to be a vegetarian last year. I may have told you the story because I loved it so much. So it didn't go that well. And she wrote about it this way: the problem is pretty simple. I keep finding myself with a sausage burrito in my hands, and oops, I did it again. In the first 7 days of the year, I've eaten far less meat and probably more vegetables than usual, but I'm definitely failing any purity test out there. So deal off, right? I can't be a vegetarian. Not at all. Well, do you at least feel like a failure, someone asked me? No. And I also don't feel like a vegetarian, exactly. What I feel like, she wrote, is a work in progress. And I trust that. I trust my ability to learn and grow. I trust myself to lean toward my commitments, and I trust my body to build the muscle to do it better day by day. Because sometimes we are really terrible at things at first, even when we care about the larger implications. We as people can commit to a thing and be terrible at doing what we committed to and still keep going in the service of our commitment, trying and getting partway there, and then in the middle of the mess, trying again. This is what integrity looks like. My colleague wrote, I might someday be an actual vegetarian. What I am right now is someone who is willing to learn out loud. A person with tools more effective than shame. I'm not good at this resolution, but I'm not worried. I know through long experience that my grit is made out of practice. And guess what? Yours is too. There are a lot of things I love about this little story. One is, of course, the idea of trying and getting partway and trying again and doing that 1,000 times is not what failure looks like. It is what integrity looks like in a world where we are human. And the other thing I love so much is that idea of learning out loud, which is also what vulnerability looks like. And I suspect that vulnerability is the proverbial fly in the ointment. It is the thing that a lot of us try very hard to avoid. To make mistakes, to look or even be bad at something we care about, to not know how, to fumble, to say the wrong thing, to feel embarrassed or ashamed. These make us vulnerable, and it is so easy to be hurt when we are vulnerable. And I suspect that the more experience we have of being competent and capable, and many of you in the sound of my voice have a lot of experience with being competent and capable, the harder we have worked to be self-sufficient and successful, the harder it is to risk the kind of vulnerability I'm talking about, the kind of vulnerability where we admit that we are not in control of a lot of things. The strangely good news here is that usually the longer we live and the more mess and complexity and sorrow and even tragedy we experience in our lives, the more we come to understand that we are not in control and that there is great strength in vulnerability. That cancer or heart attack just comes. Even though we went to the gym and we took our blood pressure meds and we gave up the bacon, the marriage unravels despite everything we did to try to make it work. Our children do not always thrive despite the love and the effort and the commitment we pour in. Our friends do not follow our excellent advice, and often they don't want to even hear it, and neither do our aging parents or adult children who are making decisions we may not agree with. We cannot control other people's choices, and we make mistakes. And some of those mistakes are indeed painful and not easily forgiven or undone, but if we are brave and we keep trying, we can learn out loud. We can learn to give up our shame for better tools, such as grit and tenderness and self-love and kindness and radical patience with ourselves and others. Some of us will learn this kicking and screaming and fighting all the way. I once had a half-feral cat named Hazel, and trying to get her into her carrying crate to take her to the vet was like this. She became completely wild, half crazed with fear, scratching and hissing and arching away from the crate opening claws out. And once she climbed up the front of my body like a tree. She was so desperate to get away. And when I finally arrived at the vet, he took one look at me and said, "I think you need medical attention more than the cat." But she reminded me of my own younger self, and also of some of the people I know and love when confronted with the fear of vulnerability. I tell you every Sunday in one form or another that we are held in love. We are held in a love, by a love that does not judge us, that never finds us wanting. Now, this doesn't mean we couldn't all use a little work, a little improvement. We can, and we do. But our humanity, our worth as human beings does not depend upon perfection or competence or anything other than our being. It depends upon love. That is what our Universalist spiritual ancestors taught us. They believed we are all loved by a God whose love is too big to damn anyone. In some ways, they were our spiritual ancestors in both courage and joy. They believed we were meant for eternal joy, not damnation. This was a radical, heretical idea, and it still is in so many ways. I think so many of us yearn to really believe that our vulnerability is our strength, but it's so hard to accept that. It is so hard to take it in, that it is not our skills, our talents, our striving, our smarts that holds our value. We yearn to know, to really know, that in vulnerability there is the possibility for love, for deep connection, for true transformation. In fact, vulnerability is the only way that deep connection and true transformation happen. I know of no other. It is so hard for us to put down the mirror in which all of our mistakes and failings and weaknesses are magnified and make us unlovely and unlovable. But it is easier to be brave together. It is easier to put down that mirror reflecting shame when someone takes it right out of our hands and tells us there's another way to see and another way to be seen. And it is easier to remember that we have worth when we remember also whose we are, who we belong to. Amanda Gorman says that before every performance, she reminds herself, I am the daughter of Black writers. We're descended from freedom fighters who broke their chains and they changed the world. They call me. Who calls you? Who reminds you of your own essential worth and inner beauty? Who are the people in your life who have shown you what courageous joy looks like and feels like? Who are your spiritual teachers in bravery and in joy? And if you don't have answers to those questions yet, that is fine. They take time. And if you need a teacher in courageous joy, or someone to take that mirror reflecting self-hatred right out of your hands, let me know. Our congregation is full of people who are learning this lesson and who have wisdom and gentleness to share. So here's your spiritual homework for the week. Will you choose something, one thing, to be brave about this week? Start small. And will you tell someone about it so we can be braver together? So our closing hymn this morning is What Wondrous Love, and I hope that you will sing along with Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for your beautiful, beautiful music this morning. I invite everyone before we close to stay for coffee hour on Zoom following the postlude music. If you're on Zoom already, just stay where you are. And if you are on YouTube, the link will be in the chat. And if you are local to Groton, please join us for the Black Lives Matter Vigil at noon every Sunday, today and every Sunday, right outside the church. And then 2 to 3:30 for our Love is for Everyone Valentine event. And Donna's going to join me for the benediction. And I invite you to put a hand on your heart, and with the other, let's reach out to one another and know that we are connected. We are woven together by such strong and sturdy threads of love. Go in peace, beloveds. Be a blessing to this world.
I am open and I am to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open, yes, and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion, and give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light